Sanskrit. And so there are, how many yugas are there?
Four.
Four, right? And what are the names of those yugas?
Satyug,
Satya, Dwapar, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga, right? And which yuga are we in? Kali Yuga, right? And it's the characteristic of the Kali Yuga that we will be focused very much on the body, right? So we grew up, and although we were religious and spiritual, we grew up using the terminology that this is my soul. When you're saying my soul, that means you're still in the body concept of life, right? Yeah. You're thinking that I am this body and then I have a soul, my soul. So we have to change that paradigm now, and we have to say, I am actually a soul and this is my body, right? So this is my body. The soul has been given a body, right? And so how many bodies do you have? One, right? That's why they all tell you you got only one body. So now this is, buy one, get one free. Today I'm going to tell you that you have two bodies. How do you like that? Right? So there is a grass body. Grass, we say grass or sthul in Hindi. Okay, there's a sthul sharir. And what is the sthul sharir or the gross body? That is something that you all can see, right? So you are seeing my gross body. Okay, and the gross body, right now you're seeing the gross body of a human being, right? And we're seeing gross bodies of these human beings, right? But then the gross body can be of a different type also. And do you all have access to WhatsApp?
Yes.
You all have access? Okay. So let me do one thing. I'm going to send you a picture here and we're going to have some more fun. Right? Okay. So bring out your WhatsApp and you can share with your neighbors. Sharing is caring. And so the gross body, a better definition, like I said, gross body is something that you can see. Well, if one is blind, then they can't see. But a gross body is made up of different senses in the larger term of it, right? So how many senses do you have? Five senses. Okay, and what are those five senses?
See, hear, smell, touch.
Okay, so now there's a slight difference between senses and sense organs. Okay, so eye is a sense organ that senses sights and senses forms, right? Similarly, ear is a sense organ. And what does it sense? Sound, right? So there are sense objects and then there are sense organs. Okay, so we have to make a distinction between them. So the gross body is made up of basically your senses. So you said there are five senses, and these senses are known as the knowledge acquiring senses. Okay, these senses are going to acquire and give knowledge to you about whatever is there around you in this world. Okay, for example, when your eyes, what do your eyes tell you? They tell you about the whatever you can see, right? What are the things that you can see? If I'm showing you this glass, what is it that you see? You see the object, you see the shape of the object, you see the color of the object. Can you see the temperature of the object? No, right? For that, there's another sense.
Touch.
The touch, right? So from the touch, you're able to find out that sense. Okay. So these are the senses, and they will acquire. So the sense or your sense organ eye or the sense of sight will give you some of the characteristics regarding the form of an object. Okay. However, it won't be telling you about other things. Right? So you acquired that knowledge. This is white in color. It's got blue stripes in it. There's some blue dots and so on and so forth, right? Similarly, if I go and touch this vase here, I can get an idea of what the temperature is. So I'm acquiring knowledge about these objects around me, right? What's the color? What's the temperature? If I touch it, if I go and touch the stove, I will know that it is hot, right? Now, the interesting thing is that these senses can get confused. Does it happen to you ever? While driving on a road on a hot day, you're just thinking, where is that water on the road? And as you're coming closer and closer, you don't see that, right? It's a mirage. So these senses are defective. So these are material senses. They are made of this material body. They're defective, right? So those are 5 sense organs which are used to gather knowledge. Knowledge is gyan, and indri is senses. So they are also called gyanendriyas. Okay, so you have 5, 5 gyanendriya. And then there are senses that also do some work for you. Okay, so those senses are your hands. Okay, so you were doing Shraddha says, touch this, touch that. You were using your hands to go touch, right? So there are hands, there's feet, right? And there is tongue also that does. Actually, tongue has a dual purpose. The tongue can taste, which is acquiring the knowledge, and the tongue can also speak, right? So do something. So tongue has got dual purpose. And so there is tongue, there is hand, there is feet, and then there is the reproductive organs, and then we have the excretory organs. So all these in total make up your gross body. Okay? And the gross body is what takes birth, and the gross body goes through 6 stages in life. It's born, and then as an infant, then it grows, reaches adulthood, reproduces, usually, and then it'll dwindle down, and then finally it'll die. Okay, so that is known as birth, and that is known as death. So what exactly is death? Death is when the soul steps out of the gross body. Now, where the soul goes is a topic we'll discuss momentarily, but the soul goes out of the gross body. So I'm just talking about the body. So we got one body more for free, we said, right? Okay. So now touch your brain. Shraddha says, touch your brain. I mean, it's in this area, right? Yeah. Touch your mind. That's your forehead, right? Right? So mind, and then you also notice that if I touch something and which is hot and it burned my fingers, then next time my hand is going there, I will make a decision not to touch it because I gathered information about it and I found that it is not good for me. So I'm not making a discrimination and a decision that I will not touch it because it's bad for me. So there is something in your mind, in your here, whatever you see, that is capable of making these kinds of distinctions and distinguishing between right and the wrong, and that is intelligence. Now, do you all have intelligence? Do you agree? Okay, can you touch it for me? No. So mind cannot touch. Intelligence we cannot touch, right? And then I said that in the beginning, we grew up with that understanding that there is my soul, which is I'm understanding that I am this body. And that is the biggest, flaw of our understanding is to think that I'm this body, but actually we are the soul. And so this characteristic that makes you think that you are this body and you're not the soul is known as false ego, right? What is ego? What does ego mean in general? When you say, "I usko bahut ego hai," what does that mean? Huh? Pride in something, right? I-ness. I am something. I am this, right? Like that. So, so when you have a concept of I am something, right? For example, I'm saying, oh, yeah, I am this body, right? Oh, I'm a professor. Okay, you are a professor, maybe. So there is some truth to that statement. Okay. But when you are not something and you're thinking that I am that, that is known as a false ego. Okay. So true ego is when you're thinking, yes, I am this, right? I'm the mother of, Preeti might think I'm Partha's mother. Yeah, that's a fact. She is, right? But then if she thinks that, whatever, I'm Trump or something, hope not, then that's a false ego, right? So, so that part, which is made up of your mind, intelligence, and this false ego, that is known as your subtle body, right? So you have a gross body, which others can see. There's a subtle body that you cannot see. And then the interesting thing is, you can open that door. We need some cross ventilation.
That's a good question. What causes false ego?
Yeah, yes, I will come to that question. A very good question. Can you open the door,
Yeah.
please? Yeah, you'll be able that door. Yeah.
वो नहीं लगेगा।
Yeah.
अच्छा ठीक।
बाहर से कहीं से लगा दो उसको थोड़ा कर दो. I can see people are feeling hot, right? Yeah. So you have the subtle body. Now the interesting thing is, when you die, what happens to the subtle body? Right? So the gross body is there, dead, doesn't do anything. And so obviously something happened, something changed, right, in the gross body, something left the gross body because of which it's not able to do whatever it was doing all along, right? For example, if I pull the plug from the fan, something has left from the fan, the electrical current has left, that's why it's not able to operate. Similarly, it's the soul that makes this body operate. Thank you, Mataji, for opening that. So it's the soul that makes this body operate. And so death happens when the soul leaves the body, and after that, the body is not able to do anything at all. Nothing, just cannot do anything, right? So then what happens to the mind, intelligence, and the false ego? The false ego is what makes the soul thinks that I am this body. Okay? So that body, that subtle body, which you cannot see the mind and you cannot see the intelligence. Now the question will be, what's the difference between the mind and what's the difference between the mind and the intelligence, right? So it's the mind, you can understand the mind to be a factory of thoughts. All that the mind does is it will create thoughts. Now, how many thoughts do you think you have in a day?
10,000.
Yes.
More than 1,000?
Yeah.
500?
Millions.
Every second you have a thought. We have about 60,000 thoughts
Every day.
every day. And you know what? 80% of those thoughts are repeated. What do you think are the thoughts that are repeated?
Fast.
Huh? What is the first thought that you get in the morning when you get up?
Yeah.
Do you think it think it repeats every day?
I cook today. I cook.
Do you think it's yeah, what to cook, isn't it? And why I have to cook? And why is he not cooking? And why is he still sleeping? Right? So these thoughts will keep on. So hold those. So yeah, you know, anything from the student ka koi book bhi chalega. Any student book will also do. Yeah. But I don't want to put Bhagavad Gita there. Okay. Yeah. So the interesting thing is that what is like, you know, the gross body has got a shape. What is the shape of the subtle body? Right? The mind is a factory of thought. It generates a thought. Intelligence is that faculty or that element that is able to distinguish between the two thoughts and say, this is a good thought, this is a bad thought. And it presents that case to me, Lord, the soul, and says, you know, this is a thought that is coming, but I think it's not a good thing to act it out. But the soul still is the judge and has got the power to veto. And the soul can still say, I'm going to still do this, although it is wrong. Does it ever happen with you? Yeah, right. So that is when the intelligence is presenting some case before the judge and the judge is overriding it. So if this continues to happen, if it continues to happen after some time, the soul will start building a very different algorithm. The soul, thank you, this is perfect, yeah. The soul is just going to think that maybe this is the right thing, because after I present two options, the soul, who is my master, the soul is always making the other decision than what I thought. So maybe that's the right one. So it goes and adjusts its algorithm inside. It will adjust the algorithm and then start going on the wrong path. That is why when you talk to some people, you say, Bhrashta buddhi hai. Right? That is Bhrashta buddhi, when the intelligence is failing in its faculty to distinguish between the good and the bad, right? So mind is there to generate thoughts, right? It is your biggest enemy, right? So that chatter that is going inside your head all the time, it is the mind talking to you. I should do this, I should do that. I like this, I like that. That sari I wanted. This is not good, that is not good. Oh, she does this, he does that. What do they think? All those thoughts that keep on coming in your mind, right? Mind is generating a thought, right? And then mind will produce thoughts in mind full of envy. And when you're envious, have you ever noticed, I hope not, that your whole body changes, your psyche changes, it's difficult to breathe, and we can overcome you to that extent, right? And who started all this thing? The mind started all that, right? So mind is our biggest enemy, right? But your mind also your mind also planted the thought in your mind that Yugal is inviting you to a Krishna Katha, that I should go. That thought also came from your mind, right? And was presented to the soul, and the soul took the decision that let's go, right? So things are in good shape here, right? And so the same mind that can be so bad and plant ridiculous ideas in your head, that same mind can also become the best of your friend. Atmena, Atmena, Ripu Atmanaha. That, for the Atma, the word Atma is used in two ways in Sanskrit, many ways in Sanskrit, but two of them are to consider the soul, the word Atma to be soul, and then again the word Atma to be the mind. So it's saying that mind is the Ripu, means enemy. And the same Atma also becomes the friend later on. And this journey, and how does the mind, which is our biggest enemy, and you can see mind operating even for a very small child, the mind operates. I don't want to give my toy. I want to enjoy it myself, right? That tendency is there in the soul to enjoy. And so as we continue to think, right, the mind, and why does the mind think in a certain way? Because it is exposed from the atmosphere to those various things, and your senses are actually acquiring all that information. Eyes are there to see, right? Somebody, when I came here, somebody was saying, I think Subodhini was saying that everywhere I see there is Krishna, right? And then somebody could have come here and say, oh, wow, nice sofa. I don't know how many $1,000, you know? So why do I see Krishna? And why does the eye in the same room not see Krishna and see something else? All these desires are coming from the soul. So we have to remember that soul is the ultimate responsible feature or factor for anything happening. And we are the soul. So we are responsible for everything. What is happening to me now, what's happening to me in the future, what happened to me in the past, I am responsible for that, right? So God, some of you might call God as Krishna, some of you might call him as Shiva. It's just a matter of nomenclature. But God, who is God, right? So as we look around ourselves and see different uh, um, we see different things happening. For example, my grandfather was there, and then my father is there, and then I was there. And so you're asking, like kids will ask, like, who is that old man? Then your dad will say, oh, you know what? Just like I am your daddy, he's my daddy, right? And then you have children, and then you have grandchildren. So you became the grand. So you see that if there is something that is existing here, there is a creator for that, right? If some human body is there, somebody might have given birth to that human body. So we start extrapolating that. So this means my grandfather must have also had a grandfather, and he must have had a grandfather. And you keep on extrapolating, and logically, we have to come to a stopping point where you say, okay, this is the original thing. This is from where everything emanated. Everything came from that source. And we define that as God. You can call him Allah, you can call him Jesus Christ, Shiva, Vishnu, Krishna, whatever you call, as long as this concept is there in your head that what I call God is the one who originated everything, who has created everything, right? So by that logic, who is the wealthiest person? Is it Bill Gates? Is it Elon Musk? Who is the wealthiest person? How do you judge anybody's wealth on a material level? How many?
Who's peaceful?
No, wealth and on a material, like
Okay.
Bill Gates. Why do you say Bill Gates is the most?
Their monies.
On the money, exactly. Simple answer, by the dollar, right? So so he's worth 400 billion or trillion or whatever the numbers are these days. So we judge them on that, like how much do they possess? So if somebody created everything, don't you think that person is the most richest person? And if I tell you that you are his children, then you can congratulate yourself that you are the children of the richest person, right? And that is a fact. And that is the fact that will bring peace that you were mentioning. Otherwise, it's always like, Yugal has more, Yugal is living in this, how am I living like that? It will go on and on. And mind is constantly planting this, right? So when this whole thing was originated, they say, and our mental faculties, which are material in nature, they cannot go beyond, or there are certain things which are beyond our intellect. It's difficult for us to understand. It is beyond us. Like as a small child cannot understand trigonometry. It's beyond the intellect of the child at that point, right? Similarly, we or the soul has got a certain limitation, especially when the soul is engaged in this gross body, material body. Right? So the soul cannot understand, but so when we don't understand anything, like when we were kids, we were like, Mama, I don't know how that happens. And then, oh, Mama will say, yeah, this happens. And then you believe in your mom, right? And you say, yes, that is how it happens. So similarly, there is an element of faith when it comes to trying to understand things which are beyond your faculty, right? Beyond your faculty. For example, somebody might say, okay, you're saying there is God? Show me where is God. Prove it to me. Now, God cannot be proved in the science laboratory. He's beyond the realms of science, and he's beyond the realms of our intellect to understand that. So how can I sharpen my intellect to reach that situation where I can understand God, right? And there's only one way, not going to Stanford, not going to Berkeley and getting a PhD, double PhD or whatever, right? You will get that only by doing devotional service. And the beauty is that when Krishna was there as the original personality, right? Krishna has got, we had seen Mataji dancing today like that. So that's how Krishna is. And so he was there all alone. And Krishna is also, we call him Krishna. And the reason we call God as Krishna is that the word Sanskrit, in Sanskrit, Krishna means attractive. Okay. So now you go to the YouTube, and all these days we are seeing like Anil Ambani, and her daughter-in-law is so beautiful, and Aishwarya Rai is so beautiful, and Priyanka Chopra is so beautiful, and Angelina Jolie, they're all so beautiful, right? And why are they so popular? Because the soul gets attracted to things which are beautiful, right? So they make a lot of money, and we pay money and double the money to go watch these Bollywood, Hollywood actors, right? On a Friday night. And so something which is beautiful attracts us, right? Now, if you take Bill Gates, he's not beautiful. Sorry, Bill Gates. But I'm not comparing. If I compare him to the Miss World and the Mr. World of the world, he's not. But we still are attracted to Bill Gates. If I were to say Bill Gates is standing outside, you all will leave this lecture and go outside. Why? Because we get attracted to something. Why were we attracted to Bill Gates? Because he's rich. So when somebody is rich, we get attracted to it. So when a person is beautiful, when a person is rich, we get attracted to that person. Now, Albert Einstein, he was neither beautiful nor rich. But why are we attracted to him? Because of his knowledge, because of his IQ, because of his intelligence, right? And then, if somebody is, I won't name names, I'm on Facebook, but if somebody is neither beautiful and not rich and not intelligent and still has the power,
Okay.
you still get attracted to that person, right? Because you get attracted. Right. So now these people, somebody is very rich, and I tell them that, and they spend millions and millions of dollars, but not somebody is very beautiful, they will spend millions of dollars on their face to stay beautiful, because they attach to that beauty. They attach to their beauty, right? Similarly, if somebody is very wealthy, they are not going to give away all their wealth. They only want to increase it more because they are attached to their wealth. Okay. And similarly, somebody has got power. They might say, I don't want to get out of the White House. You're attached to it, right? So when people are and very, very strong, right? Like Bhim, very, very strong. And if it's like, can you, just give up that strength? No, I don't want. I'll give you $1 million. Can you give my hands? Okay, I will give you $10 million. Can you cut your hands? I will give you $20 million. Can you cut off a little pinky and give it to me? We'll say, no, we don't want to lose that strength that we have, right? We attach to it. But if I were to say that somebody has got all this and is totally renounced, does not care about all this, does not care at all about all this, then we'll be attracted even more to that person. Like, how does he or she do it, right? It's amazing, right? So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or God as we call, has got all these characteristics. So when a person has got all 6 of these characteristics in one person, how much attractive that person will be, right? And the word attraction in Sanskrit means Krishna. So the word Krishna means all attractive. That's why we call God as all attractive, a God as Krishna. Okay. So when he was there, he has got all of these things, and he likes to enjoy. He's a reservoir of pleasure. He likes to enjoy. But what can you enjoy? Can you enjoy by yourself? Can you just sit there and enjoy by yourself? You always need a second. For example, mango juice, right? So mango juice is something that you enjoy. So to enjoy that, you needed something other than you, the mango juice, right? Similarly, you want to watch a movie, enjoy a movie, then you are not the movie. Movie is something separate from you. You enjoy that, right? So you always want something to enjoy. And so God created all these souls, right? With the sole purpose of enjoying all of them. He just wanted to have a nice, loving, reciprocal relationship with these souls. And all that he wanted was that, he wired the soul. Wiring is like you create the circuit diagram, you create the whole circuit so that it behaves that. For example, the fan over here is wired to do certain things, right? It cannot let off flames because it's not been designed to do that. So similarly, we have been designed to do devotional service. And because you're designed to do devotional service, that's why you like it. When you get a call on a Friday, Saturday to come here, you like it because that is what your true nature is. But we sometimes forget. We sometimes forget who we are. Okay. So when Krishna created all of us, and many, many, many years ago, they say since time immemorial, it's very difficult for us from our intellect to perceive that. So he created all of us with the sole purpose that we will have a reciprocal relationship and we'll enjoy, and then life will go nicely. Okay. Now, Krishna wanted love. The only thing that Krishna is hungry for is love, right? So he is looking for love. Now, how do you know that the person next to you or you person you married or anybody, the child, the person you gave birth to, how do we know that that person loves us? Right? Because love is something that is spontaneous and natural. It'll come from the other person. You cannot force and say that you love me, right? I mean, a wife might just tell that to the husband that, I love you and, I hate you guys. So love is something that if you're looking for true love from somebody, love is not something that you can force on them, right? I mean, if you put a gun on my head, somebody puts a gun on my temple and says, I'm going to shoot you. Do you love me? I say, yeah, I love you. Right? It's a very natural thing, but he didn't want that. He wanted spontaneous love. So he gave us the free will. He gave the soul the free will, the freedom to choose what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So out of those souls that were created, about one fourth of them decided that, you know what, who is this Krishna and why do I have to serve Krishna and why I have to do everything? I have to do worship for him, make him enjoy, do everything for his enjoyment. I want to enjoy it separately from Krishna. And you can do that, right? I mean, if you are a servant of a king, right? So we'll be serving in the palace. So if you're a servant of a king, you will eat what the king eats. Isn't it? Although you're going to eat after the king eats, but whatever is cooked in the kitchen, you will eat it, right? So if you're serving a really big man, there is some potential benefits that you get. However, if you say that I'm going to do things on my own, then you're on your own. You cook your own food and you decide your own things, right? So when the one-fourth of the souls, they decided that, I want to enjoy separate from Krishna. Krishna was very hurt. But then still he said, okay, you want to enjoy separate from me. So I'm going to create something for you so that you can enjoy, right? So just like, you have children and you're cooking, you're making chapatis. And it's a very interesting thing, chapatis being rolled out. The kids are very curious and they'll say, I also want to do it. Like, oh, don't touch you. And then we bring them a kitchen set, right? And then they do the whole cooking over there. I remember my daughter I brought her a kitchen set and she had crayons and she would grate the crayons. And then she'll, steal some atta from the kitchen and she'll add the crayons to it. And then she would roll them and have nice chapatis. Now eat. So, so this whole world has been created for our enjoyment only, so that we finish off our enjoyment tendency and come to a conclusion that trying to enjoy things here in this material world does not give you everlasting happiness, right? Now, how will I enjoy something which is material? Because I'm a soul, I'm spiritual, right? I was living in the spiritual world, in the spiritual planets. There are spiritual planets beyond the sky. And so, and this material is supposed to be inferior. So we are not accustomed to enjoying things which are inferior, right? For example, if you're eating food in ghee, nice ghee, And if I say, okay, this is cooked in vegetable oil, they'll say, ew, it's yucky, I can't, right? Because you are at a higher level, you have a higher standard. So how do you stoop down to that standard, right? Now look at a pig. What does a pig eat? Unmentionable things, right? Now the pig has a soul. And the pig eats all that nicely, right? So why does that happen? How does that happen, right? So that same soul, I might have been a pig in my previous birth. Same soul in the body of a pig eats all the non-mentionable things. And why? Because the pig thinks I am this body, the body of a pig. And why does he do that? Through the false ego. So God created that false ego because without the false ego, you cannot enjoy this material world at all. How will you enjoy anything, right? And if you start if you start looking at the world in more greater details, you'll find that everything is obnoxious, everything is dirty. Everything is dirty because you don't know. You can't see the dirt, even in the food that we eat, right? So this whole concept of when the soul comes down here, there are two things that happen to the soul. One is that the soul is thrown. Thrown means it's thrown into a particular type of a body. It could be a body of a bird, a fish, anything. And then, but when we left the heavenly planets, or not heavenly, but the spiritual planets, when we left all that because we rebelled against Krishna, and Krishna said, okay, I'm going to create this whole atmosphere, this whole universe for you, material with millions of planets. Okay, go here and enjoy. So in the beginning, everybody comes in the body of a human being like this, right? And not only does he do that, he also gives them the Vedas to read, the scriptures to read, and says, okay, now you're going, you're unhappy with me, you want to go aside and you want to enjoy, but I'm giving you some handbooks, a user manual. I'm giving how are you going to live there. It's a guide, a map, how to live in that world. That where you're going, it's a foreign land, you're going there. And also I'm giving you the methods and the understanding to come back. Right? Like when our children go, we sometimes build a, two-way ticket for them. Like, okay, you're going there, but I've also arranged for you to come back. So those arrangements that we make for kids, similarly, God made those arrangements by way of this scriptures and said, okay, you read all the scriptures. I'm telling you how to live like properly, and then you will come back. Right? But then once we come down here, we still have that free will to read the scripture or not read the scripture, even after reading it, to follow the scripture or not to follow the scripture, right? Or to enjoy. So once a person is born as a human being, given a certain circumstance, the mind will present the thoughts, intelligence will discriminate, but the soul, depending on what the soul really wants, what the soul really desires, the soul will make a decision. And that decision is recorded, like as you record in a computer database, that decision is recorded in our mind. And as you keep on forming different kinds of thoughts, which are from your desires, right? Your subtle body starts to take a particular type of a shape. And when a person dies, when the soul leaves the body, this subtle body also leaves with the soul, leaves the body. So subtle body and the soul, they have left the body. And now another gross body will be kind of shaped on top of this soul and the subtle body. So if you were thinking like here, oh, look at the helicopter, oh, look at the plane, oh, wish, okay, let me learn how to fly aeroplane. You learn some classes and you know how to fly a plane, but then it's expensive. Like, oh, what is this? Birds are much better. They don't have to do anything. They can fly on their own. Oh, I just want to be the free bird. And I go from this tree, I go to that tree, and I eat this food. Oh, life of a bird, so very nice. You're constantly thinking that, right? So your subtle body is becoming and taking the shape of a bird. Right. So when you take the next bird again, the gross body is kind of like you're putting the plasticine on top of this, or this is like a structure and you're just putting the pulp on top of it. So that is how a body is formed, right? So we have two bodies. We started with that. We have two bodies. We have a gross body and then we have a subtle body. And the subtle body is what really shapes what the destination is going to be for you, what kind of a gross body we are going to get. Now, what's the harm? Like some people say, I don't care. Oh, if I'm a dog, oh, look at the dogs in America. They have a very nice life, right? It doesn't matter. I can take any body, right? But there are certain good things about having a human body. And what do you think is the best thing about a human body, which others don't have?
Intellect.
Intellect, intelligence. You think animals don't have intelligence?
To do the devotional service.
Do devotional service for
Yes.
500 points, exactly,
Yeah.
right? The main thing that distinguishes us from the animals, otherwise, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, founder of ISKCON, he says animals can do eating, we also do eating. They do mating, we also do mating. They do sleeping, we also do sleeping. Right? Defending, they also do defending, we also do. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending, they also do, we also do. And you have to work so hard to mate. Nobody's going to marry if you don't work, you don't get dowry, la da 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 da, like that, right? And countries spend billions of dollars, trillions of dollars in defending. Right? You're doing so much things. When winter comes, they have to get warm clothes. But look at the squirrel, automatically gets a furry clothing in the winter. So Krishna is taking care of that and that, right? So better be an animal. Why do you do that? But the main thing is that in the body of a human being, you can do devotional service and go back to God, right? Your hands are made like that. You've got thumbs here to chant, right? So we'll do a little bit of an exercise here that we'll try to distinguish between the body and the soul, who you are and who the body is. Right? Now, how many of you meditate or have done meditation ever? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. 5, very nice. 6, very nice. Okay, so I'd like you to just relax. Just look at just feel your whole body. Yeah, sit in a nice position. If something is hurting, pinching, just relax, right? And you can put your hands in whatever is your relaxed position, whichever position you feel relaxed. If you want to have a sip of water before you get into the exercise, please do so now, right? Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale. Close your eyes and don't open it. Examine your whole body and just make sure that it's in a comfortable position. Take a deep breath again and breathe out. Imagine that you are sitting in a room which is full of golden light. You inhale some of the golden light, and the golden light reaches your heart area. Your whole body is feeling golden. Inhale and exhale. Loosen your eyes. You don't have to shut them very tightly. Relax. Let go. Don't tighten your muscles. Don't chant. Imagine you are in a sea beach. It's a beautiful sunny day. The sun is shining brightly. There's a cool breeze blowing. You are lying on the sand. You are away from the water, but you can see the water. Relax. A big wave comes towards you and touches your feet. You feel the cold wave. The wave goes back to the ocean, and you realize that your feet have become transparent. You take a deep breath, and another wave comes towards you. It touches your navel. The wave goes back, and you notice that your whole body below the navel has become transparent. You take a breath, another wave comes all the way up to your nose, up to your neck, and it recedes. And when it goes back, you realize that your body below the neck has become transparent. Another wave comes. It goes over your head. You have no trouble breathing. Everything is very cool. The wave goes back, and you realize that the whole body is transparent. Focus on the heart area and realize, who is it who is watching the body disappear? Breathe in, breathe out. You were the same when the first wave came in and touched your feet. You were the same when the whole body disappeared. You are separate from the body. You are a soul, though situated in the body, does not mingle with the body, stays separate. Bhagavad Gita also emphasizes that. Continue in that position. Take a deep breath. Don't open your eyes till I tell you, but slowly raise your palms and cover your eyes with your palms. Don't touch your eyes, but just cover them with your palms. Let the palms go all the way up to the forehead. Don't move your palms, but slowly open your eyes. Now slowly remove your palms from your eyes and come back to this world from the Santa Cruz Sea Beach where you went. Okay, so now let's take some reflections on how you felt during this. I know that Yugal didn't want to come back. That I noticed. Yeah. Anything you'd like to share about this experience, how it felt or didn't feel? What thoughts came to your mind? You want to
I
share?
felt, Mataji, that
Speak a little louder so that those on
Yeah.
the Facebook can also see.
sure. I felt that my, you know, gross body and the other body,
Subtle.
body, yeah. So my subtle body has come out of this gross body and gone for. So it's not my gross body which is going. I can see that body going and coming back.
You could see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so this means that the soul has got this capability to stay aloof from the gross as well as the subtle body. And which is a very important observation that you made, because you are not the body. And also you are not the mind either. So sometimes we feel very upset and people come to me and they say, I'm trying to pursue devotional service. I want to become the best devotee, but I'm so ashamed. I had this thought in my head today. Like, no, it's the mind, it's the factory. What did you do after that thought was presented to you is what really matters. After the thought was presented, what was your conclusion? What did you do, action or no action, right? So this exercise is to emphasize that fact that you are away from your body, and keep that in mind because that gives you a lot of peace. in your life. Yeah. Anybody else would like to share?
Mind's chatter just stopped.
The mind's chatter stop, right? And that is what meditation is. So God, who created everything, is like a mom, right? So when the mom has, the mom has a child, you are taking care of the child till they become 3 years old. They're tiny tots. They can't even carry the backpack, but they are sent off to school. And when they're sent off to school, the mom is always worried whether the child is going to eat properly, not eat properly, right? And the same happens with Mother Yashoda. When Krishna would go to tend to the cows with the cowherd boys, Yashoda will be like, okay, Krishna, you Kana, you eat, because I know you're going to play and you're not going to eat. No, we do that also to our kids, right? And then she would pack the lunch. And okay, here's the lunch for Krishna. Then he would call his friend and say, okay, you know what? This guy is not going to eat. So you please make sure that he's going to eat. So then friends will say, yes, Mai, we'll do that. And then, as Krishna was getting ready, she will say, I don't think that's going to happen. All of them are going to go and play. So she would call Krishna again and say, okay, at least eat half the lunch now here in front of me. And then she would let go, like that. And if it was in Yashoda's control, Yashoda would have just followed Krishna to the forest. And we would have done that too, right? With our kids. I mean, they cry, they sob, and they go to school. It's like, oh, I wish, they could put a chair next to my child and I could sit with my child. And as they grow, also, they become teenagers. We really want to be there to guide them, right? So that is what Krishna is, our mom and her dad as well. And Krishna has got this tendency too. And so Krishna, are you feeling hot? You can open the door if you're feeling hot. So Krishna has got this tendency to be where we are because we are his beloved children. We did some goofy things and we are here, but that doesn't mean he doesn't love us, right? I mean, we can shout at our kids and get angry with their kids and all that when they do things, but then in the heart, the love doesn't die, right? We still love the kids, whatever they do, right? And so that's what Krishna is. So when he created this whole universe, he said that I'm going to go and accompany. So Krishna came and accompanies this universe as, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu. He's even in our hearts as Paramatma. So what more guidance do we want, right? He's entered every atom of this universe. So he's there guiding us. The only thing is that we have closed our eyes. We don't want to see Krishna like that, right? So Krishna is there and you will be able to see Krishna. We'll be able to see Krishna when that chatter in the mind stops. And this chatter that is going on stops. And that is what meditation does. It had nothing to do with being on a sea beach and your body disappearing. I mean, of course, your body didn't disappear. You all know that, right? But what disappeared was that thought that is there in your mind. It's all about the thought control, right? So once we learn how to control these thoughts, the stray thoughts that keep on coming over here, then we will see Krishna. And how do we control these thoughts? Then we have to find out, like, if you go to a doctor and he says, okay, doctor, I've got this fever. So the doctor says, okay, here's a crocin, you have that. Yes, fever will go away, but you never know why did the fever come in the first place, right? So you don't need symptomatic treatments. You need to know what is the root cause of our thoughts. So what do you think is the root cause of our thoughts? Why do you think? What makes you think? You might get the answer depending on what do you think, like that.
Actually, because of our previous birth's desires.
Desires? Okay.
Material desires specifically.
Okay. Because of our desires, we think, right? Let's see. Are there any thoughts that are not somehow or the other linked with our desires? Are there any thoughts? Just think of, like, you said that you get up in the morning and you start thinking. So when we get up in the morning and we say, what to cook? There was a desire to cook. Why was the desire to cook? Because we have a family, right? We want to feed our kids. Why do we want to feed our kids? Because we have affection for them, right? So all these thoughts will come into our mind because there's desire and there is attachment to certain things. So when do you can I reach the stage of desirelessness? Can I have no desires at all? It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Why? Because this mind is a factory and the factory's job is, it's created. The circuit diagram of that factory is to create thoughts. So it'll create thoughts, right? We'll come to Maya momentarily, but thank you for bringing that word. So so you can't stop the factory. The factory is to produce, you can't stop it, certainly, but what you can do is you can control what the factory is going to produce. This is known as thought substitution. You can substitute your bad thoughts with your good ones. How will you substitute the bad thoughts with good ones? Is to think about good things. Okay, and one of the ways that you will think about good things is that when you are thinking about good people, good things, and what is the best thing in the world is God. You think about God, right? And that is why all these satsangs are necessary. We all come together, we spend some time, we're feeling very good. We'll go back home, we're feeling very good, right? So that is why people will do meditation. So meditation is that first and foremost, you have to get rid of the thoughts, forget about the body. And we hear so many stories about people who were meditating and then ants came and built ant hills around them because they had no concept of the body. They had reached that stage completely not thinking about the body. And then they start meditating on God. So simple meditation, like some of the places where you'll go, they'll say, yeah, it's okay to meditate on anything. You can meditate on this cell phone. You can close your eyes and stop thinking about anything else. Breathe in and breathe out and say, iPhone, 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 right? That's not the way. You have to substitute it with something better and something which is really beyond this world, right? Something which is beyond, transcendental to all this thing. Why? Because in this material world, all the problems that you get in your life are because of your body. Can you name some problems that we have?
Anxiety.
Huh?
Anxiety.
Anxiety you get because of the body, depression you get because of the body, COVID, right? Cancer. All these things are related to the body. Like I'm feeling a little ache in my body. I feel a little cold, right? Did you ever get up in the morning and say, I think my soul has got a cold? We never say that, right? Because soul that is not impacted by these material things. And this material world has got four things. This material world has got problems. Do you agree or agree? Right? Okay, name some problems. Then can I have light?
Lights.
I can't see the devotee faces. Can we have some light, Neela? So, okay. So can somebody tell me some problems that you faced in life? All of you gave high school exams. I think we can. You can बाहर से पंखा चला के अंदर हवा कर सकते हैं? बाहर सॉकेट है क्या? हाँ हाँ, किचन कहीं से लगा दो, आवाज ना आए. हाँ, this is good. Yeah, so we were talking about problems. Yeah, one problem is the heat. Other problem is, yeah, so you see, there's heat. So then we try to find a material solution to that problem. What is it? We put on a fan. And that causes another problem that now you can't hear me, I can't hear you. So you see, in this material world, when we try to find a material solution to a material problem, you'll always end up in trouble. When I first started my career many, many decades ago in the computer world, and so there used to be a terminal and there was a screen, and that's all you could do. And then I was like, oh, if there was some way that I could just, go on the screen and point out things. And lo, voila, now we have got this. Except for now, you will keep on doing this, and this is repetitive stress, and then you'll have, pain in your hand and this and that. So all these solutions that human beings have come across. I mean, I remember computers had just come into India when I was starting my career in a big way. And this was like, this is going to solve all the problem. And it is going to make your life so easy that you'll have to work less. How many hours are we working at? Right. It is ridiculous. So when we try to find problems, and then because we are limited, like for example, I remember my daughter, we had told her not to, when she was young, I told her not to touch blue. My husband's table had a red ink bottle. Those days we used to have ink pens. We told her not to touch it, and then that's it, right? The one day we find her there, and she had opened the bottle, and then of course what happens, you open the bottle and suddenly, without even the child knowing, the bottle will topple. And so it was all over the place. And then she tried to find a solution with her intellect. She took all the important papers of her dad and tried to mop it, right? So this is what you do when your intellect is at level. So in order to solve a problem, you need an intellect which is higher than the intellect that created that problem. Think it over. When you have a problem, these words are from Einstein. When you create a problem, you need an intellect which is higher than the intellect that created the problem. So If you're a child, you dropped a bottle of ink, your mom will know what to bring to mop it up, rather than you taking more important papers and you wiping the table with that, right? So similarly, when we try to solve our problems, we have to make use of an intellect which is better than ours. Our intellect and our faculties are material faculties, and they have got defects in them. Like, everything that we create has got some defect. You go to Amazon and you go to the ones that have only 1 star, you read the comments and it'll say, oh, this never worked and it's waste of money and this and that. Why did that happen? And then somebody else is saying, oh, this is fantastic, does the job. And I went and bought 2 and 1 for my grandmother, like that. Why does it happen? There are defects. So there are okay. So problems in life, you said, what are some of the problems in life? Did you tell me your problems? Or somebody else's problems? No problems? You're a happy group.
Financial troubles.
Financial troubles, thank you. That is a problem. Layoffs happening, that is a problem. Have to work at home, that is can't work from home nowadays. That is a problem. Have got a global team, so that is a problem because I have to wake up in the night, right? Spouse doesn't listen, kids don't listen. There are drunken drivers in the world. That is a problem, right? So there's a problem. Everybody has got a problem, and what they see as a problem and what they don't see as a problem is their own understanding, right? They will do it this way or that way. And I still remember and I have told this story so many times, my older sister, so I was younger and then they were into that dresses and clothes and jewelry in that age that girls are in. So she was in that age, I was not. And so I was overhearing the conversation that she was having with her friend. So a friend came and said, oh my goodness, aaj mere saath tragedy ho gayi. Today there was a tragedy with me. And I was thinking, I don't know what happened. Somebody died or something in their family. Oh, that you remember that blouse, that kurta that I gave to the tailor, he messed it all up. That's her level of tragedy. And so we are also like this, we have our own levels of tragedies and own levels of problems. But then a problem is considered to be a problem in this material world when there are certain parameters by which you'll say, okay, this is really a problem. Right? For example, somebody must say, it's so hard. Isn't that a problem? Somebody of South India will say, this is so good. I like it. Coming from South area. So a problem is can be considered as a problem if it is applicable to everyone. North Indian or South Indian, American, non-American, Indian, Pakistani. That problem has to apply to everybody, right? At all times, right? And has no cure. You have no control over that, okay? So now, with this definition of problems, let's think about what are the real problems of life?
Besides for somebody in the White House.
Health, okay. Very good. Health is a problem. What else is a problem? Other than health, if you're healthy, no problem?
Desires are the problem.
Desires are the root cause of the problems, right? Desire, bad desires to enjoy materially leads to problems, right? So the four our scriptures tell us that there are 4 problems in life here in this material world. The one is birth. You have no control. Where you're going to be born, what type of parents you're going to have. You had no control, apparently. Right? You do have, based on the actions you did in your previous life, right? So birth is a problem. And opposite of birth?
Yes.
That is also a problem. Is it applicable to all?
Yes.
Is it applicable all the time? Any age, right? Kali Yuga, Satyuga, Dwapar, everywhere, right? And to everybody, all the time, right? Birth, death. And you said disease, right? The one who created this iPhone, he died of what? Cancer, right? So it has got nothing to do with how much wealth you have. It'll attack anybody all the time. You think that we eradicated, I remember there used to be typhoid, not typhoid, what is that? Smallpox, yeah. There was smallpox and you would have people with the pox and marks on the face. And then it was declared one day that India has eradicated smallpox. Like, oh, wow, we eradicated disease. And then COVID comes up. So it's unending, right? So disease is a problem of this material world. So birth, death, and then old age. It comes to everybody, right? Now, Prabhupada gives a very interesting definition of old age. So what do you think is old age?
When your body starts to
When the body starts to degenerate, that is old age, right? That's a general description, right? And how do we know that the body is degenerating? From some symptoms that appear, right? For example, the hair is going to turn white, and then there will be wrinkles on the face, the eyesight will be lost, right? Teeth are going to fall down. Okay. But nowadays we see people at, 90 years old and they have beautiful teeth, and then no white hair. Right. And wrinkles. Oh God. Look at the film stars. They have no wrinkles. Right. Somebody might say, oh, a wisdom. When you become really wise, then you are and intelligent, then you are really becoming old, right? But look at these creators of Facebook, and they're so young, 25 years old. So that also doesn't mean that necessarily wisdom is related with age. It can come at any time.
I think what you can do earlier and you can't do it anymore, that's a good symptom. So,
What you could do earlier and cannot do anymore is a good symptom. In general, yes. An indication, yes, provided you're looking at some of the material faculties, like I could lift, anything, and now I can't lift, right? Things like that. But sometimes a person might become rich in old age and be able to go for a skiing, which he could not do when he was young because he didn't have the money, right? So partly yes, and sometimes maybe no, right? So how the closest that your death, Prabhupada define is the closer you are to old age, Prabhupada describes is how close you are to death is how you define old age. Right? So if a person is going to die in 25, because a lot of us, what we do is, I'm going to take devotional service seriously when I become old. And the question is, okay, then define what is old age, right? So if old age means, when I get my hair, when I get white color in my hair, so you first have white hair, you start putting, dye on it, and then you are avoiding that. So so that means that you should start and take to devotional service as soon as you are born, you take to it, right? And so you'll be very lucky if you're born in a family where devotional services is taken care of, or you have got friends who take care of that, right? Like that. Prahlad Maharaj, he was born in the family of demon. He was the son of Hiranyakashipu, right? And his friends were all demons. But Hiranyakashipu used to teach them Srimad Bhagavatam. So his friends were lucky and they started saying Vishnu Vishnu. So it also depends on the environment in which you are placed at that particular point in time. Now, talking about the meditation exercise that we did recently, I could see that some of you were uncomfortable doing it because we are so tuned to not being focused, and it's got to do with we are leading such an interrupt-oriented life. You cannot do anything on your and say that this is my free space. Your company will say, oh, I remember once, one of my colleagues at office was scolded because the big boss called her and she didn't answer. He was very upset. She said, I went to the bathroom. And she said, you didn't take your cell phone to the bathroom? So that's the expectation. So there is no free space, no free, like you'll be disturbed all the time. You get up in the morning, starting from the newspaper that is, shut, and then somebody starts on the TV, then the garbage collector comes, so there's disturbance all the time. So saying that I'm going to meditate and focus on the Lord was something that was done in Satyuga, where Kreen de la Kreen is born. Very highly exalted devotees take birth during the Satyuga, right? And then what happens is that as the Satyuga, from Satyuga, you move to the next Yuga. And what is the next Yuga? After Satyuga, what comes? Treta, exactly. And who came in Treta? Very famous? Lord Ram, right? Yeah. So in Treta, what happens is that things diminish. So one of the things I want to also explain to you as parents here is that we think and we use the word mythology for our scriptures. Mythology means myth. Myth is something that the mind has generated, and our scriptures is not a myth. If you say Ramayana is a mythological story, that means it's a Mangana story somebody created from that. No, it is history. It's a fact. So first thing that we should do and teach our children is to stop using the word mythology there. And in sometimes they are, because here in Satyuga, people are looking for proof for everything, and they're very logical. They won't take yes for an answer, or, Dadiji did it like that, so let's also do. They're not that submissive either. They are very inquisitive. They want answers to our questions. And so they will say, Mom, don't you think that we are reading this Srimad Bhagavatam, and here they are saying that Maharaja Sagar, who brought Ganges down here, he was meditating for 60,000 years. I have not seen anybody meditate for 60,000 years. That is a story, right? But the thing is that as you raise your intellect and your consciousness to a higher level, and it happens in our lives also. Sometimes you might see that at work or even in our family, we are told to do something or not do something, and we don't get what is called as the big picture. So if we are living in our isolated cube, we are focusing on this and saying, why is my boss making me do this? They don't have a big picture, but if you go and stand and put your ears to boss cabin, then you know the conversation that's going on, that they're saying that this fella is good for nothing. If he doesn't prove himself, we will have to lay him off. And boss is coming and telling you do the work, and we don't like it. So as you raise your consciousness to a higher level, then you see the big picture there. So similarly, when your consciousness will be risen to a higher level when you get the intellect from here, from these scriptures. So when you start reading the scriptures, you'll understand, okay, I've heard of Satyuga, I've heard of Ram, but you need to know more about Ram to be able to counteract when a person comes and says, all the Hindu is mythology. I can't even think of how can Putana be 6 miles long, and how can he meditate for 60,000 years? Well, people in Satyuga lived for 100,000 years. Out of those 100,000 years, he spent 60,000 in meditation. Big deal, right? We spent so many years in school studying, right? So we have to understand that. So in that age, people do meditation. The cream de la cream is born. They spend their time in doing devotional service. There are no disturbances, and there's no cell phone. In the next yug that comes, everything gets diminished by 90%. So the deterioration is so fast between that age and this age, the next age. And so those who used to live for 100,000 years now subtract 90% from it. They will only live for 10,000 years, like that, right? There'll still be some stray who might live more than 10, but they will only live for 10,000 years. And so you will find people, did tapasya for 1,000 years, like that, when talking to that age. And then what also happens is the mind starts to get a little bit disturbed. And souls that are slightly more naughty than those that are born in Satyuga will take birth in that yuga, so they'll do that. And then it's difficult to meditate because the mind is now getting disturbed, right? So what they will do is they will do yagyas. So you have heard Ashwamedh Yagya, Ramchandraji did Ashwamedh Yagya. Do you know how much it takes to perform Ashwamedh Yagya? How much money is spent? Just make some guess. Okay, so let's break down that problem. Suppose this was an interview and I asked you that question. You will say, okay, let's break down that interview. So what is involved in an Ashwamedh Yagya? Ashwa is there? Ashwa is a horse? Okay.
Yes.
How much do you think a horse costs in US?
Million?
Okay. Right? So horse is going to cost, okay? Now you're going to take the horse all over the world, right? So the horse has to be fed. And then there's a huge army that is following. That army has to be fed. The army is going to fight. So they need the weapons, training, and you have to take care of their families back home, right? So all that is expense. Now we're just talking about the horse. Now, what about all this expense that is happening here? You brought so many brahmanas. You're going to put things into the yagya kund, ghee, samigri. Now, how much is a yagya kund here nowadays? Like, you can't do the yagya here because the smoke detectors are going to fire to start off. So when they did the yagya in my home, when I was entering into my condo, the priest came and said, so where is the fireplace? The fireplace wasn't done like this. So he put the yagya kund there, and then we did the yagya there. And so that all the smoke went up. So that's the situation here now. But in those days, the yagyas used to be 2 miles by 3 miles long. Can you imagine amount of ghee that's going in, amount of that? So one Ashwamedh Yagya took about $1 billion. You can imagine how rich and opulent people were at that time to be able to do that. Next age, 90% reduction. So how long do you think they're going to live? Next age, Dwapar. 100,000,
1,000.
1,000, right? 1,000 age. Now they don't even have that much of money left. So then they say, okay, what we'll do is, I can't have a yug in my home. You can't have a yug in your home. Let's do collective. Let's construct some temples and we'll all go and do the temple there, right? And now next age, under another 90% reduction. And then what happens? 100 years. And then out of 100 years, is anybody living 100 years? Very, very few are living 100 years, right? Mind is totally disturbed. There is hardly any money. I mean, I remember Dadi and all that used to wear gold and, gold here. And nowadays, a bride, they're all wearing artificial jewelry. It's the trend. It's the fashion, right? This is Kali Yuga. This is going to happen like that, right? So everything just deteriorates. So in this yoga, we say that temple, it's so difficult. I have a call. I have to go. I have to take my kids to this place. I have to do this. I am late at work. Temple is so far away. There is no temple in my city, right? So life becomes like that. So they say, okay, fine. Do this little thing. Just at least take the names of the Lord. So Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, 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 Gathir Anyatha. So it says that in this age of Kali, there's only one thing that you can do, and that is to take the holy names of the Lord. And there is no other way, no other way, and no other way other than taking the holy names of the Lord, right? And it's so easy because you can take the holy names of the Lord anywhere. You don't have to be bathed. You can be in any state, any day of the month. You can just sit and you can chant the holy names of the Lord, right? So we will chant the holy names of the Lord, but in a slightly musical manner. And can you access your WhatsApp, the group that Mataji had created, Krishna Katha at Yugal Mataji's home? And did I send a link? Yes, I did. Okay. So there will be a link there. Let me post it again and you can share. And Garima Mataji, could we have a little bit more light if possible, if possible? If not, then that's okay as well. And you can all, this is actually, yeah, this is not completely Sanskrit, there's some Bengali words also in it, but you see, you're able to read this. Yeah, I sent that, right? Yeah. Preeti, you are in that group, right?
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we will sing this in a call and response manner. Okay. But one of the things that we emphasize is that before we do anything, we should understand what we're doing. Okay. So if you scroll down, you will see the translations. And what I want is starting from my left this time, each one of you will just read one translation, but don't start now till we have a show of hands. Everybody got the song? You got it?
I don't have.
You don't have it?
I don't have also Mataji.
You are not in that group?
No.
You're not in that group. Okay.
You can share. Yeah. Share.
You can look into hers. Just go and share with a neighbor. Yeah. It's not that difficult. We'll just skip you when we're reading, and when we are reciting it, it is very simple. I'll speak and you will know. It's very simple.
You want like that way?
कहीं भी लगा दो हाँ, थोड़ी सी लाइट हो जाता अच्छा रहेगा बस चलेगा. Okay, everybody got it? Okay, anybody who can hear me say shh. Anybody who can hear me say shh. Anybody who can hear me say shh. Okay, so starting with Preeti Mataji here, if you can speak your name and then just read one translation. Thank you.